right now, folks. We're breaking big news here. A major order from Judge Arthur Engoron in the New York Attorney General's civil fraud case against Donald Trump, where in addition to monetary damages that New York Attorney General Letitia James was seeking, she was also seeking injunctive relief to cancel the business certificates for the entity defendants, which include the Donald Trump businesses from the Donald Trump Revocable Trust, the Trump Organization, Donald Trump Holdings, and all the other various LLCs constituted in New York. Folks, we have the order right there. Partial summary judgment has been granted in favor of New York Attorney General Letitia James, and the order right here is stating that any certificates filed under New York's general business law of any entity of the defendants is hereby canceled, folks. This is as big as it gets in the case. We will also get to the issue of damages. Of course, that will be decided at a trial. But for now, let me reiterate, Judge Arthur Engoron has ordered the cancellation of Donald Trump's business licenses in the state of New York. And I want to say this as I co-host this with Michael Cohen. Thank you, Michael Cohen, because this is not possible without you. And don't take my word for it. As one of your best friends and co-hosts, take the word of New York Attorney General Letitia James when she brought this about almost a year ago at this point in 2022 at the press conference. She stated that this is because of the cooperation and efforts of Michael Cohen. With that said, I want to get your reaction to this historic news that broke seconds before we went live.
Yeah, I mean, look, as the title of our combined podcast here, it's a beatdown. I want people to understand that the Trump Corporation is a New York corporation. What's interesting is not too long ago, they attempted to open a duplicative company called Trump Corporation 2 out of Delaware with the hope of being able to transfer all of the assets of the Trump organization, the Trump Corporation, to this new entity based out of Delaware, which our unsinkable Attorney General Tish James would not be able to have an effect on, even if the assets were here in New York. It would be an extra layer of protection to the Trump Corporation. Well, that got shut down by Tish James's people real fast. And what this really means is that for the next period of years, that Don Jr., Eric, the Trump Corporation, Alan Weisselberg, they will not be able to operate a business in the state of New York, which is where the bulk of his assets technically lie. Now, this creates a whole issue considering there are buildings that are being operated by Trump management, Trump organization, real estate property management division. All of this gets affected, by it. On top of that, there are a multitude. Let's not forget, he has over like 700 different companies that all have subdivisions to them for tax purposes and so on. All of those, I believe, become affected by the unbelievable decision by Judge Engoron. So this is not just a beatdown. I mean, this is just an ass kicking to a company that, Trump, has built for over 5 decades. He is ultimately today being held accountable for so much of the dirty deeds that he has done over the years and has now been accused of and has now been determined by a judge to have violated. So this is one heck of a day. Bad for Donald, not so bad for the rest of us.
Devastating for Donald. Devastating
That's a better way
for Don
that's a better
Jr.
adjective to describe it, Ben.
Devastating for Eric. Devastating for Alan Weisselberg. Devastating for Jeffrey McConney, who can no longer conduct businesses under the applicable licenses that have now been canceled. Pull up the order, because sanctions have now been handed down as well as part of this order, and we will be going through more portions of this order in just a moment. But here's what it says. For the reasons stated herein, it is hereby ordered that defendants, and this refers to all of the entities that are being sued, Donald Trump, Don Jr., Eric, Trump Organization, DJT, Revocable Trust, et cetera, order that defendant's motion for summary judgment is denied, because recall that Donald Trump and the various defendant entities filed a motion trying to get this case dismissed. There were dueling motions for summary judgment. Ordered that plaintiff's motion for sanctions is granted in part to the extent sanctioning Michael Medeo from the Haba Medeo and Associates firm, that's Alina Haba's firm, Clifford Robert from Robert and Robert, Michael Farina from Robert and Robert, Christopher M. Keiss admitted pro hoc vice, and Armin Morian in the amount of $7,500 each to be paid to the Lawyers Fund for Client Protection of New York State, no later than 30 days from the date of this decision and order. And it is further ordered, and here's where it gets big. One thing I'll point out, though, is notice there it says that Christopher Keiss is admitted pro hoc vice. It means he's an out-of-state lawyer. So the fact that he's now being sanctioned pro hoc vice, in other words, he went into a different state and violated the laws of New York as a lawyer, that can have a profound impact, that sanctions order, even if the monetary amount is low, on his ability to practice law now in other states. That is a sanction, a scar that will always be on his record. Here it says, order that plaintiff's motion, this is from New York Attorney General Letitia James, for partial summary judgment on its first cause of action is granted in part to the extent finding defendants Donald J. Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Alan Weisselberg, Jeffrey McConney, the Donald J. Trump Revocable Trust, the Trump Organization Inc., Trump Organization LLC, Donald J. Trump Holdings LLC, Donald J. Trump Holdings Managing Member LLC, Trump Endeavor 12 LLC, 401 North Wabash Venture LLC, Trump Old Post Office LLC, 40 Wall Street LLC, and 7 Springs LLC to be found liable as a matter of law for persistent violations of Executive Law, Section 63, Sub 12. And it is further ordered, here it comes, folks, that any certificates filed under and by virtue of the General Business Law, Section 130, by any entity, defendants, or by any other entity controlled or beneficially owned by Donald J. Trump, Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, Weisselberg, and Jeffrey McConney are canceled. And it is further ordered that within 10 days of the date of this order, the parties are directed to recommend the names of no more than 3 potential independent receivers to manage the dissolution of the canceled LLCs. And it is further ordered that the Honorable Barbara S. Jones, retired, shall continue to serve as an independent monitor of the Trump Organization until further court order. And it is further ordered that the clerk shall enter judgment accordingly. With that said, I want to show you all how this case all started. And it all started thanks to the help, cooperation, and fearlessness of my co-host, Michael Cohen. I am proud to say, Salty, run the tape.
Mr. Trump and his allies may say that these penalties are too harsh, or that this is part of a witch hunt. I will remind everyone that this investigation only started after Michael Cohen, his former lawyer, testified before Congress and shed light on this misconduct. And the remedies are consistent with what we have sought for other businesses that committed the same misconduct.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.